based off of where we are with the research, is that men and women do not do anything different from a nutrition or training standpoint. The protocols are exactly the same. There was at any time in life, including menopause, there was a systemic review that just came out literally a month or two ago that looked at, all of the research on women and men, even those going through menopause, putting on the standard weight training programs, and how did they react to them. If things were different, what we would suspect is that women would have a problem with gaining lean muscle and strength under those conditions, right? Because these training protocols are typically made by and for men, which is not great. I understand that. There certainly needs to be more research done in women. There has been a lot of research done in women, so the idea that we don't have research in women is blatantly false. But any more that we can get under any demographic is a good thing because it gives us insights.
Yeah,
right?
Of course.
So what they found looking at this, and this covered thousands of women, is that men and women gain strength and size at the same relative rate. Same relative rate. Now, that doesn't mean that if you gain 20 pounds, a woman's going to gain 20 pounds. You have a base that is typically larger than a female's of an equivalent size. But if you gain 3%, she is also going to gain 3%. You cannot expect a woman to somehow supersede what a man gains because that's going beyond the biology of a human, right? And so the message that's been put out here on these things related to men and women's training is that these protocols for men don't work. Women aren't small men.
That's what they say. That's what they say. That's what they say to get you to nod. Like, yes, right. We're not small men. No, we never said you were small men.
This is the fear mongering and the manipulation that we want to get beyond. Because what's really funny after that statement is that these people will provide a study to back themselves up, and it will be in mice. So women aren't small men.
But you are a mouse.
Women are large mice. And nobody is looking at the studies that are being presented. And so every time these studies come out, somebody will send it to me because you know that I do a lot of debunking and myths type stuff online. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, this is absolutely nuts that this is being used to back this up when we have studies in women showing it doesn't matter. And so now we're doing one of two things. We're either using murine data, which is mice, or we're using molecular mechanistic data, which is, hey, this cell does this, therefore you should do this. Or in the Petri dish, this happens, therefore you should do this. That's still not women. And when we look at this type of stuff, outcome data trumps mechanistic data 99.9% of the time because the outcome data shows what actually happens in a human when they're doing it. Mechanistic data is not bad data, but it doesn't tell us what actually happens. What it tells us is, hey, if it gives us a conclusion, this can allow us to generate a hypothesis that we then test in humans. If the human data says otherwise, the human data is better because that shows what actually happens.